My dad always told me, he said, hey man, football is just a platform and a stepping stone for what your second career will be. NFL stands for not for long.
Shawn Springs, 13 years in NFL, 3 different cities, 2 Pro Bowls, 1 All-American nomination. When in between all of that did you start thinking of what comes after football?
I was fortunate to play for 13 years, which is a pretty long career, but over those 13 years, I had already said, hey, my focus is football, but what am I going to do to transition?
So if you knew that it was a stepping stone,
Yep.
What did you do during your career to set yourself up for the second career afterwards?
I made sure that I networked because people wanted to meet me. Being a professional athlete, everybody wanted, their kids love sports. So they'd be like, hey man, I founded this and my kid wants to play video games. It's just like, okay, all right, what do you do? So I would go network and spend time with business people in the community that I had a chance to meet.
You founded Windpact in 2011.
Yep. I really came up with the idea around 2011. The first 3 or 4 years was just me exploring and the critical question, why hadn't helmet technology changed? Why hadn't football changed? We consider ourselves an ingredient brand. Windpact, we say we're an impact technology company where we use our patented technology to absorb and disperse energy and working with our host brands, right? So we'll work with the companies out there who are building protective gear saying, hey, much like Intel Inside, I can make your computer better. We can make your product better because we focus on that moment of impact and we bridge the gap between what the scientists and the smart people are saying and what you're doing.
Some of the people that are investing or seeing the advantages of Windpact, the U.S. government among them.
Yeah.
What do you think it is specifically that they see in what you offer?
What we've seen is people like our process. They like the way our approach. We are very different from a typical helmet manufacturer. One, because we don't produce the helmets or protective gear. We focus on impact. But what makes us unique is we understand how materials work. We characterize materials. We test and we understand how materials perform from a wide range of industries. Things that we're learning in automotive, we can take over to the military. Things we're learning from the advanced combat helmet, we can take over to football. Things we're learning from football, we can take to baseball, hockey, and other things. So we get to see a wide range of impacts that gives us an advantage over a company who's just focuses on a football helmet. A lot of times I tell the guys that I mentor, guys who are coming behind me, saying, hey, use some of the lessons learned that you learned in sports to carry over. Meaning, hey, work hard, detail, we talk about being dedicated, right? Like meaning if you just got one toe in versus jumping all the way in, you're gonna see the results of that. Detail your work. You're not gonna pitch or golf swing a certain way if you're not really focused on the level of effort and detail that you need to put into it. And I think, and another thing I tell guys, don't be afraid to raise your hand. If you don't know, say you don't know. One of the things I like from sports for me, is deliberate practice. Like if I wasn't good at something, say I wasn't good at off covering, I would focus on that to make me better so that would become a weakness. And it's the same thing, I think, first time you got to respond to 25 emails, right? You're like, okay, so, like, oh, God, right? So you got to but you have to be able to respond and communicate well to be an executive or CEO. Right. So you got to get good at that. And the next is like, how do you run a meeting? Now, we used to meetings and stuff like that. And I think the biggest thing is, whatever allows you to translate so you can understand it the best is what you should do to make you most effective in your second career.